G'day, Rockhound here. The second episode of the developer diary known as Making Mavericks has just come out from the Mavericks Proving Ground team, and in a moment we'll take a look at the things that you may have missed in the video. This week the developers largely focused on talking about how they will use Improbable's SpatialOS software to allow the game to run on multiple servers, so that even with 400 players running around during the Battle Royale sessions, and up to 1,000 players for the MMO part of the game can still run smoothly with great frame rates. This is an area that quite a lot of players have shared their concerns about, with those comments probably stemming from seeing the likes of PUBG having lag and desync issues, especially early in the game when there are close to 100 players on the server. If you're interested in the technical side of how SpatialOS will deal with Maverick's large player numbers, I would suggest watching the dev diary in full, so you can hear from Improbable's Chief Technology Officer and co-founder Rob Whitehead about how the software splits up the game's workload amongst mini servers and then stitches it back together again. I've also put a link to a video about the people who work at Improbable in the video description below if you'd like to know more about them. One thing to keep in mind is that while Mavericks developers Automaton have about 40 staff, Improbable is a considerably larger company, which also received a $500 million round of funding in early 2017. So these guys are no lightweights, and therefore we should expect big things from the server side of the game. Okay, SpatialOS aside, let's take a look at a couple of things you might have missed in the developer video. In this first shot we can see 4 characters being worked on by the design team. Each character has very different clothing, including some pretty old-fashioned looking suits that look quite cool. Clothing customization is something the developers want to be a significant part of the progression system within the game, and we're just starting to get a glimpse of that here. At the top of the shot we can also see characters with armor types that we have seen previously in other videos. Now if you recall, these are base or no armor, recon, utility, assault, or effectively armor levels 1, 2 and 3. In the video we see that the team are discussing how to make each armor level, which includes leg armor, fit well over the character's clothing, and this reinforces the idea that armor will likely be collected as a set and not as piecemeal individual items. In this freeze frame we get one of our first views of a standalone 2-level building within the Proving Grounds, and if what we've seen from the landscape in the game so far is anything to go by, then I'm expecting lots of detail to be shown in the buildings as well. These buildings kind of have a similar look to the buildings that we see in Battlefield 1, which has some really detailed structures in it. In this last shot we see an outline diagram of the upper part of the tall tower that we have caught glimpses of in other videos. It's a bit hard to read, but the name of the file the developer is working on includes the words player death. So it's likely that this tower, which will be visible from great distances across the Proving Grounds, will indicate player deaths during the game in kind of an old-fashioned calculator screen kind of way. And that definitely adds a kind of dystopian society feel to the storyline of the game. Well, that wraps up my analysis of the few extra images we saw in this episode of Making Mavericks. Let me know what you think about SpatialOS or the details that I've spotted in the video in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.